Welcome to the Sample Podcast, guys, the number one social dynamics podcast in the world. I get the pleasure of being able to interview some of the people I looked up to in my life for a lot of years. This man today is one of those people. I first found him in Jason Capital's Q&A section where he would do some reels. And then from there, I found out who the hell this guy was. The person we're interviewing today is the founder of Lacad LLC, a digital marketing agency. He is the digital marketer featured in Forbes, Yahoo Finance, Entrepreneur Magazine, MSNBC. He was the marketing manager for Tai Lopez, if you know that familiar face. He was in the top 10 entrepreneurs for 2020 to look out for, including Gary Vaynerchuk, Grant Cardone, and Rene was there. The man that's been around the biggest of the big in the time periods where they were the biggest people in the world. Rene was able to get in and be able to learn lots of valuable advice that he is going to instill onto you, as well as Rene kind of has the lifestyle. He has everything that you've wanted. He's got a beautiful girl, he's got a beautiful life, he's rich. And if that's what you want, Rene's going to drop some hints on how to actually get that in your life. So without further ado, Mr. Rene Lacad, thank you for coming on the podcast, brother.
It's a pleasure being on here, man. That was quite the intro. You went hard. You did your research.
I did my research, brother. I gotta dive in. You know, I gotta be my guest, right?
No, I
can't even tell you how many podcasts in the last 24 hours I've consumed of you. So to be able to hear your voice, it's a lot.
You know everything. You take this serious. I love it,
yeah,
bro. You're
yeah, bro. Yeah. You've done something for the, we'll get into your story and we'll get into a few things, but you've done something that I've always wanted to do, which was go back to my high school and not flex, but I want show my teachers that I wasn't just, a dropout, and that's what we have in common. I wasn't a college kid. I was just a kid that played sport. And so I'd skip school to play sport. I was a golfer. So I can relate very close to you. So talk us about you became successful and then you went back to that moment where you got to go to your teachers and go back to your high school. What was that for you in the whole journey, being able to look back once you were successful? Because a lot of my clients, a lot of my students, a lot of the people that view here, they're not there yet. They want to get there. They want to get the success. Talk to us what it was like when you first gained success, especially in entrepreneurship.
I think it comes kind of fast. You don't realize it's happening. Because I think the buildup when you're trying to become successful, from me personally, I would envision the moments of success over and over and over again in my head. And it doesn't really once it happens, you're like, oh shit, this is what I was envisioning. And now you're kind of like, now what? Because what I was working for, my goal, I envisioned it. I'm here now. It kind of it puts you in a position of should I just fuck off and do other things? What should I do with my life? It's a weird feeling for sure. I envy the people, because you see people sometimes that become successful and these dudes are they keep going. So they might've been envisioning billions and they made a couple million and they were like, this is not enough. I need to keep going. For me, I was like, I'm going to be a millionaire. I did it. I was like, there's nothing left to do. Let me figure this life out
and start to get some more goals. Okay, interesting. I had a friend. She had a baby, and her pregnancy was perfect. She read every book, and then the one thing she forgot was when the baby came, what to do. It sounds very similar.
Yeah, literally, that's exactly what it is, man.
Okay, so talk to us about what was Rene like back in high school, and what was aspirations? Because it seemed like that was the driving force for you. You had this burning desire for more. Where did that come from? Was that cultivated, or was that something you just always had?
You know what it is? I say this. People don't like this. This might be a little bit of a controversial
That's all right. You can say anything. I'm Australian.
I think there should be, we can swear. I love it. I think there should be more bullying. I think bullying builds character. Because for me, I think the second I became cool, quote unquote cool, is the second that I stopped taking people's shit. As a kid, I was a smaller kid. So I was the tiniest one in my class. Other boys are rough. Right? Kids are rough. So naturally I would be the punching bag. I would be the one they would pick on. So because of that bullying, I know it sounds real fucked up, especially now with all these people that are real get triggered easily. It made me mentally, it made me mentally stronger. But two, it made me a lot more motivated, because at the time, and my motivation isn't that anymore. I think I've grown past that. But I was very angry. I was like, fuck these guys. I'm going to get rich, show them. I'm going to get stronger than them. I'm going to learn how to fight. I learned all of this stuff. Before it was cool, because I think a lot of people like MMA now. It's popular, but I was doing
before.
MMA in like 2012,
Yeah.
2011. So, and that was because I was getting bullied. I was like, people are going to beat me up. Let me learn how to fight back. And on top of that, let me learn how to become better than them. Because I think as human beings, we want to build a life where we have as little weaknesses as possible.
Yes. That's true. That's so interesting you say about that, because that's literally what social skills was for me, not
Mm-hmm.
being able to talk to anyone.
Yeah.
And then from there, the bullying started from high school, and that's what got me into here. Wow, that's interesting you say that, because a lot of people probably feel that, but it seems like your mindset was on the right path, where it was like you took it on, not as in victim, victim, victim.
Yeah. Well, I think it puts a fire in you. For me, I think it put a fire in me. I think you have two options. You have people that have two different results. One person, they become a victim, they cry, they complain, they say the life is terrible, nothing ever changes. And then you have people that let it build a fire in them. Because for me, I'm not gonna lie, now it's hard to get motivated like I used to be. I
Yeah.
used to wake up 5 a.m., 6 a.m. I'm in the gym, I'm working out, I'm working on my business, I'm building. Now I wake up like 9, 10.
It's a bit
I
comfortable.
have a nice penthouse with a nice view.
Yeah.
Um, it's hard. It's hard when you have no adversity. When you have a ton of adversity, it's easier, you know?
Mm, yeah, I always relate that to Conor McGregor when he was coming up. You could sort of
Yeah,
see that, and now the
100%.
yachts,
He's
the
like a
this,
billionaire now. He doesn't care.
yeah. Like, well, what's the thing? Okay, I guess you got to have that higher. Like, once you get to your goals, you got to get that higher priority. So, how did you get
Mhm.
that? Like, once you got to your goals, where's the next step for you?
So I think for me, life just got really empty because what happened
Uh,
is I made money
yep,
and it was kind of like exactly what I thought it would be. Because
yep,
once you make money, girls start liking you and
yeah,
people start liking you more. Life starts to change a little bit, right? And for
Mhm.
me, I went on this like 2 year. If you look at my content in the beginning, I'm not sure when
Yeah,
you found me. A
yeah,
couple years
definitely.
ago, it was every single day I was either partying, hanging out with girls, like
Yep,
traveling, spending a
Mhm.
bunch of money on bullshit. I was doing like wild stuff.
Yeah,
After a couple of years of that, it starts to feel really, really empty. I think I did that for 2.5 years.
Mhm.
And I saw it affect my life and my relationships because
Mhm.
like I looked around and obviously I still had good friends, but I wasn't really happy with where I was at because I felt like there was this huge
Mm.
rise where I was like a nobody. And then all of a sudden I started popping. I got a nice car, moved places, started living in the hills. It was like a massive like change.
Yep,
And then from there, like not, and then I didn't
nothing.
really feel good anymore because I didn't really do like I wasn't going forward anymore. I was just hanging out with girls and stuff. I was doing cool shit
Mm.
like in society standards, but like it wasn't mentally fulfilling.
Was there lack of purpose you felt there, you reckon? Or was there still a purpose, but you were still just diverted?
I think what it was, it just bottled up, right? Like bottled up, like because here's a good example. When I was broke, uh, I would be able to go eat at places, but not nice places. You see stuff on TV like caviar, truffle, and you're like, what is that like? Right. And the fact that I wasn't able to do that, it bottled up. You see people, guys in bottle service, and you're like, fuck, I can't even get into the club. And these guys are in bottle service. I remember at some point for me, I went to a club. I'm from LA originally. And all of these people, I'm like 21 years old. I just turned 21. All of these people, or like all these girls, I would see them at this club, Poppy, in LA.
Yeah, yeah, puppies, yeah.
And I'm like, shit, I want to go. There's girls there. Let me go check it out. I go to the door. I'm in this fucking line with all these bums. If I want to go in, they're like $100 to get in. I'm like, yo, $100 to get in. And then I was like, fuck it. I ended up paying the $100. It was the
Uh-huh.
worst money I ever spent in my life because you go in, all the girls are with guys with tables. You pay the
Yeah.
$100 to sit there by your fucking self and like get drinks by yourself. It was like the worst experience I ever had in my life. So I think once I started making money, I'm like, oh, I'm that guy now. Like I'm
Yeah.
that guy now. So then I would spend a lot of time and effort doing that, right? Like I would get out all of the stuff that I was bottling up from when I was broke and hustling.
So that lack of delayed gratification of finally getting there was like gone because you had the access, you had everything.
Yeah, so I had the access to everything. So I would literally do whatever I wanted. It was real bad. Like an unfortunate part about being rich is when you're rich, people don't check you. They just let you do whatever the fuck you want. And it's like an unfortunate thing, right? Like if I do something, people are like, yeah, it's a good idea. No one really like holds you accountable or checks you or makes you, I guess, think about the consequences of your actions.
Right. That's definitely going to be a different dynamic for them the listeners to understand. But I definitely get you, because we must have just missed each other in LA, because I was
Okay.
2015, 2016. I was working for RSD back in the day. So we were hanging around, if you know anything, the RSD boys used to, go with your Gregor Gallagher's, your Ty Lopez's, all these kind of people. And then
Okay.
you came on 20.
I met he's like a redhead guy. He played basketball at Ty's house.
Owen.
I remember that. Okay. I was there. I was in LA. I was working for Ty at the time.
Shit. Okay, we must have fucking just missed each other on
Yeah.
that. That's pretty dope. That is pretty dope. So take us back, because people would look at your life now and go, he's got everything, he's got the lifestyle. I want to get into that, but I want to get into like at where the grind was, and where you developed a lot of the skills that make you who you are today, because
Mm.
that's where a lot of maybe the guys are right now. They're developing the skills. So what's some of the mindsets that you had, especially going from job after job after job, then getting a good high ticket job and learning sales, learning how to speak, because you definitely have the gift of the gab. You have the $1 million
Yeah.
mouthpiece on you.
Well, so one thing I learned, right? Because I got into sales before even Ty Lopez.
Okay.
When I was broke, I was washing dishes at a Chinese restaurant, and I saw a guy walk in. He had a suit on. I'm like, what does this guy do? He must have money. A suit, money. That's where my head was at the time.
Yo.
And he did car sales, right? Nothing major. He wasn't like a baller. Car sales. But I was like, anything is better than, what is this, $7-8 an hour? Let me apply. I started washing cars to get my foot in the door. And then eventually I landed a sales position. And I think once you get into sales, you start realizing how words can bend the world around you. Because I know people that are rich and they don't do shit. They have no skills. All they are is popular. They're just popular. They have no skills. So for me, I realized like words and what you say, the way you navigate the world can influence everything around you, right? Whether it's like sales, whether it's talking to women, whether it's a business deal, whether it's getting people to like you. At the end of the day, we're all human beings. We all want people to like us. So after a while in sales, I'm like looking into psychology, because in my head, I thought, well, human beings are animals. So in the same way you could train an animal, you should be able to train a human being. It sounds fucked up, but it's true.
It's just,
so I started looking into it, and then I started learning sales psychology, right? Like the traditional, when they walk in the door, give them a cup of water, give them a pen, so they feel like they owe you something, little things like that. And eventually I got a job doing sales for Ty Lopez. And this guy, he's big on like all of the literature and the science behind it, like the evolutionary psychology. He's like major when it comes to the psychology of human beings. That's when I really dove into it. And I was like, this is incredible, because I feel like I'm a superhuman now. I feel like I have superpowers because I learned about people, and you could literally move people with your words and change the world around you with your words. And it's wild because everyone has the capability. It's just people don't like invest the time to learn this stuff.
I literally just put a thread on how to get people to do what you want. It's exactly this, that you bend the reality of them, especially. Okay, so you're doing that. You're around the kind of people. What was that like, being around we'll say the top echelon in Los Angeles at that time, 2017? Here in my garage popped off. He's the most popular person in the world. What was that like? Was that a bit of a reality shift for you, being around those type of caliber of people, and then now you becoming that type of caliber of person?
It's so funny you asked that, bro. That's I've never been asked that before. That's a great question. I think what it did is it introduced me to this stuff at an early age, like this life at an early age. And I think it was important because I had a lot of demons I had to get out of my system before I could like be here for a long time, right? Because I've been around for a long time. I look at these new entrepreneurs and I'm like, listen, you're popping now. We'll see what happens in like 5-10 years, So I think now, when I saw that, because at the time it was the first time, mansion in Beverly Hills. Wow, this is crazy. At that point, and it also made me, I think, a little bit cooler, because in the world, I think you're cool if you're very indifferent to things. People love indifferent people, right? The more you care, the less cool you are. It's a weird thing to say that. And this is a story about that. One time I dated a girl, right? And when I dated this girl, I had my routine. At that point, I was set in my ways. I had a nice place, nice car. I was living a lavish life. I had a routine where I was like, okay, cool. Pick them up, take them to this place that I used to take girls to. It was like my plan. It was a hard place to get into. Super expensive. Yeah, I used to have a BMW i8, so I'd park it in front of the restaurant. It would just sit there while we would sit outside and we could see the car. So I had my entire thing planned out. And she comes over, right? Because we're gonna pregame before we go out. I'm like, hey, we're going here. And I name drop the restaurant because it's like notoriously hard to get into. And she goes, I don't really feel like going there. Can we put on a movie and order something? And I was like, are you sure? Like, and she was like, yeah, I just stay in. And I remember, and she was just so nonchalant. She was just so fucking cool. She like would roll her own like tobacco cigarettes. And I'm like, this chick is super cool. Like she was so indifferent to everything. And like when I saw that, I was like, that's like cool. Something about it is cool when people are indifferent. So I think going back to the Tai Lopez thing, when I was introduced to that life or all these people and I was around it, it made me really indifferent to everything else in the future. Because once you see a freaking $20 million house in Beverly Hills, you don't really go up from there. It's hard to surprise me now when people are like, look at my new place. I'm like, cool. That I've seen better. So it's like, because of that, it made me a cooler person and it helped me understand people a little bit more. I think that was one of the big takeaways from it. And then also it showed me everything that was possible, because a Lamborghini is just in the movies until you see a Lamborghini in real life and you're like, wow, that's fucking real. So I think when I saw that, it changed my entire mind on that.
No one's put it to me like that. I totally understand what you're talking about now. Like I actually like 100% because when we were living the RSD boys, do you know the house on top of Runyon Canyon? Kind of like as you go up Runyon, there's this big
Yeah.
house. That's where we lived.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like a
Nice.
$25 million mansion. Meg the
Oh, I love it.
Stallion lived there. And then there, whenever you go anything else, that's your normal, that's your peak. You know where the
Yeah.
peak is now. That's you've been
Yeah.
to. So everything else
Mhm.
is like, yeah, I'm fun. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. You've even just taught me something. I didn't even know. Because like we had a couple of guests ago, he was talking about your peaks and troughs, like your valleys and
Mhm.
peak, right? And so all you have to do is really just shift that up more and more and more and to where your
And
baseline is normal.
going back to tie it all together, going back to the bullying, I feel like that's your trough. So when you have someone that's been bullied, that grew up poor, was bullied, didn't necessarily have all of like the resources, wasn't cool, and then they go from the very, very bottom to the very, very top. Everything else in the middle, that's just like you're indifferent about it. It's like I've seen all of it. I've seen the entire spectrum. So it's hard to like surprise me. Even on bad days, I'm like, my bad days now are my best days when I was broke.
Yeah, yeah. That's
So
so true. It's the same thing with girls, man. Your best girl now in 6 months, you keep working on yourself will be just your average.
well, no, so this this is my take on like the women thing, right? Because I'm in a relationship now. Keep in mind, I'm in a relationship now. I was 25 years old, millionaire, living in Los Angeles, relatively young, in shape. I did okay, you know. I think at some point the girl, like, you cannot go higher. This is what I tell everyone, man. And my girl said, like, so me and my girl talk about this stuff a lot. She's really interested. I love her because of it. She like read Evolution of Desire. She likes like she likes biology. She likes like the human condition. So we talk about this stuff a lot. And she read the book and she was like, well, how do I know that you're not just gonna like leave and upgrade and try to find another girl? Because that's what men do, right? Like if they have a girl, but they could get a better girl, they're gonna leave. It's unfortunate, but it's true. So this is also true, I think. At some point, once you reach the very, very top, you can't really go up anymore. Right? As far as like if a girl's dating a dude worth $10 million, like, okay, she finds a dude worth 100 million, good for her. Like that nothing changes in her life. And the same thing for like a guy. If he could be dating a 10, he'll switch to another 10. It's like, what changes in life? Nothing. Yeah. You just don't know the girl anymore. So I think it's important to realize that, like, because I think a lot of guys are under the mindset of fuck as many girls as possible. And at some point it gets old. And at some point, I also think that you can't really go up. Once you're dating like a 1% woman and you're 1% man, you can't go up anymore.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think for the guys that haven't gone through that path, they can't relate with you at all. And I totally understand what you're talking about. The guys that have get you like 100%. They're like, yeah, no, man, he's speaking facts. And that's what
Yeah.
I get with a lot of the guys. They're like, oh, just some of your content just doesn't stick. And I'm like, yeah, because you haven't gone through that. You haven't done
Yeah.
those things, you know?
Yeah.
You
And what
haven't.
I think too, so the reason I had to get this off my chest, man, because
Yeah.
so the reason I've always been against, like, I guess social dynamics. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, well,
Social dynamics.
you could say social dynamics is the interactions of like everything, whether it's sales, this, that, networking.
Yeah.
So like
Okay.
red pill or big tower, all the pickup stuff.
Yeah. So like I've always been very, very against the pickup stuff.
Sure.
Reason being is because like this is back 2000. I was still working for Ty at the time, 2017, or maybe I had just left 2018.
Uh-huh.
And I went to this event. I thought it was a business event. It was a Jason Capital event. Went to this event, and again, 2018 is when I was like getting everything out of my system. So I used to roll around with like 2-3 girls always, because if there's one thing I'm not that good of a networker. I'm not good at like breaking the ice and doing this. But if you want people to talk to you, if you roll around with a bunch of pretty girls, like people will come talk to you. It doesn't matter who. At some point, there was a guy pulled up in a Lamborghini, like rich guy. He's supposed to be the guy everyone tries to network with. This guy was trying to network with me because I was with girls. So I went to this entrepreneur event. Yeah, I went to this entrepreneur event. Pulled up with a bunch of girls. It was a Jason Capital event. And for me, I knew Jason Capital as an entrepreneur. I didn't realize he was like doing pickup artist stuff. Every single fucking guy there was like a dork. They were like all pickup artists. And they were swarming, dude, because it was like 90%, 95% men. And I brought 3 girls. So like literally all of these guys are swarming them, and all of them are trying to do this fucking pickup artist shit. They're like touching them, and the girls are like, ew, like, why is he touching me? And like they're like, well, like you're not even that pretty, and it's like, bro, like, what are you doing? It was really cringy, and I saw it and it rubbed me the wrong way. And after that, I was like,
never again.
All this like pickup artist stuff is like so corny, because like most of them are lame. So that's what put that like negative idea in my head.
Yeah, the spin on it. I can understand how that could definitely alter it for sure.
Yeah.
There's like what 10% that come out that are cool dudes. I'll give you that.
Well, one thing I realized, so one of my clients, like he ended up getting into like my inner circle, which is my mastermind, and he makes a ton of money as a dating coach, but he doesn't rub you. I mean, he sometimes does. He's kind of sleazy a little bit because he knows the little tricks, but he's a really, really cool guy. And I would debate with him. I'm like, don't do that. That's lame. Like I did this, I did this. And he would break down, well, to you just do it naturally. So you don't realize what you're doing, but you're doing this, or you're doing this. And because of that, I was like, okay, I can see. And then I started getting more curious, like what works? And then he explained, and I was like, you know what? We actually do agree on a lot of things. I think just the issue is a lot of these guys, they miss the context of what like people are actually trying to teach them or tell them.
Yes. We have I teach a system called the 7 pillars, right, of status. And one of the pillars that you would be incredibly high on is naturalness. Right. And that's your mindsets, as well as just your suave, your vibe, your energy. And that is like, if you can get that dialed in, it's almost as if money doesn't matter anymore. If your naturalness is just fucking, you're natural, you do it everything just well. That's where you get it. So I can understand, you're a naturalist. I always say that naturals couldn't break down what they do, because I'm not like that. I wasn't natural. Right. I'm a bit more like, I had to do the pickup route because, well, I taught the stuff. I had to do that route because I couldn't contextualize anything else.
So I'm curious. Let's talk about these 7 pillars. What are the 7 pillars? I actually want to know. Like,
yeah, absolutely. So I've broken down so me and a buddy 2020, we were living in the Miami of Australia. Okay, the Gold Coast. It's like every hot person comes here, and you can imagine everyone's just like value, status, this, that. Like, right. So we cracked these 7 pillars. If you actually, on a point system, they rated you on how valuable you were in the world, like actual value, right? So a lot of people. Have you heard a guy say, "Oh, I'm a 7 out of 10," or "I'm a 6.5 out of 10," or something like that? A lot of the time, what's happening is they're basing their above average when average is like the normal, right? But when you're versing someone like you or someone like Dan Bilzerian, you're a fucking 2 out of 10, right? Right. So this is what we found. When you base yourself with Instagram, you could DM, or anyone can DM anyone. So you are competing against these guys. I've had girls, and now they're around the fucking Kardashians, and I'm like, oh, I'm actually versing these people, or I'm actually versing Harry Jousey or fucking, Jake Paul. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is random. So the 7 pillars are, as I read about, looks is number 1. So not looks maxing, but, generally I'm 5'7", so I'm never going to be fucking high in the looks. I'm a small fucker, right? But I can speak. So looks is a big one. So that's like muscle, height, body fat. There's
Yeah.
those three, right? Logistics. Do you live in a first world country, second world country, third world country? How far away are you from cool places like, say, restaurants and nightclubs? Your game, how good is your game? So your ability to be able to like have an interaction with the girl, be able to lead the interaction. That's what game is, not cold approach, but just like game in general, your vibe, your natural, not your naturalness, but your ability to be able to like be man to woman, pretty much every kind of thing.
Right.
Naturalness, which is the more time you spend around the girl, is she becoming more attracted to you? That's what.
Okay.
And so you'd be high in that, hanging out with you, man. I've been hanging out with you 34 minutes, and I fucking, already in love with it. Financial freedom, big one, huge one. So that's massive. Yeah. Social media, and social proof / social circle. They're the 7.
Interesting.
So if you rank yourself, you would be very, very high in those, in all of them.
So I tell people the same thing also. Like I think for me, I simplify it a little bit because I've learned this really just about like, and I didn't read any books. I just kind of like put it together from me being in the world. Because when I first made money, right? Like when I was broke, I was still dating like pretty girls. I was dating girls, really, really pretty girls, like these like famous girls really intimidated me. Right. And then
for people at the top, the top echelon,
I would see them and I was like, this girl would never even pay attention to me. So it's pointless for me to even like talk to a girl like that. Then I started making money. And then I thought women are automatically going to like you because of the money. And it's not true.
Yep.
Right. So like I almost like lost my personality because I made money.
Yeah.
Because I was like, fuck it, let me lean on the money. But when you lean on the money, they still don't like you.
Yeah.
So I realized it's really a mix of all of it. The money gives you access, or it makes you qualified to even speak to them. Yep. Some of these girls, if you're not rich, they're not even going to talk to you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then if you are rich, they'll actually pay attention and they'll talk to you.
But you're invisible before.
You still have to be able to talk to them. So like I kind of put it down in like 4 things, and I said on a couple of different podcasts.
I love to hear your 4 things. Yeah.
Yeah. I think when it comes to like women's attraction.
Yep.
It's number 1, and they're in order. Number 1 is your personality. Your personality, and I think that boils down to what you said: game, naturalness, like just your vibe, right? Your personality. Are you ambitious? Because women like ambition. So your personality is number 1. You'll see ugly guys that are broke that are still dating pretty girls because they got good personalities. Yeah. Right? It's the one thing that could stand alone. The second thing is like resources, so money. Because especially in Miami, I don't know how it is in Australia, but you see a lot of girls that are dating guys that like not very cool, don't have status, but they have money, and it's like a pretty girl dating like the sugar daddy type guy.
Yep.
So it goes personality, the resources. The third one is your status. Okay. Because what'll happen is you'll see a famous guy, no money, like a broke SoundCloud rapper.
Yep.
Has a little bit of clout, no money, doesn't look very isn't very cool, like kind of boring. Women still like date him because he's famous, right? They associate that with like something. And then the last thing, and like the least important, I think, is the looks. Because a guy with a good personality, a lot of money, and high status will be able to pull mostly any girl, even if he doesn't look that good. So when I think of looks, right, like it's like, okay, in your 7 pillars, when you say looks, I think I would probably be the lowest on actual looks. Like that's where I would be like a 7, like 6 or a 7, right? On looks. Everything else probably 9, 10.
Yeah.
But look, that'll be a 6 or 7, but it's the least important because like
it doesn't weigh as much. You reckon?
It doesn't weigh as much because girls physically find you more attractive. It's a weird thing. They physically find you more attractive the more money you have.
The more money you make.
This is real true. And here's my take on that too. Back when I was broke, no girl would be like, "Oh, you're so handsome. Oh, you're hot. Oh, you look good, right? You're cute." Women would not compliment me like that when I was broke. As soon as I got some money, some status, every fucking girl that DMs me is like, "Oh, you're super hot. Like you're perfect. You're so good looking." And like, I heard that from my mom growing up. I didn't hear it from regular women growing up. So it's like
wait, what?
Yeah, it's like all of a sudden I'm hot because I have money. That's just the truth. It's like women physically find you more attractive the more money you make.
And when you got luscious locks like you, I mean,
luscious locks, it helps, man.
Yeah.
It helps. I tell people like the tattoos and the hair definitely kind of helps. Also.
Oh yeah, we say that, especially here in the Gold Coast. It's like everyone's got a tattoo, and it's kind of oversaturated here. But you leave this town, and then you're fucking skyrocketing because no one has it.
Yeah,
It's a weird. I like places like Los Angeles and Miami. People hate it, but it's the innovation of the innovation of like the mating strategies. This is where the places where it's like it really accelerates. Or
And the thing is too, I think like with these places, the competition is so high.
makes you higher, makes you fucking level up.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on like this new? I've seen this chart. It's like polyamory, and it shows like how the top guys get like 80% of the women.
Oh,
Like it shows like
hypergamy.
who hypergamy. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Like I saw that chart. I was like, this is crazy. Is this happening? Is it because of social media? Like what is the deal with that?
Yeah. I'll give you an example of hypergamy in statistics. So they did a study of everything in the world, every Tinder account in the world, and they realized that the Tinder is made up of 90% men, 10% women, right?
Okay.
So that means you've got literally like, girls have got 9 out of the 10 options available to them, right?
Right.
Guys were swiping right on girls 60% of the time, right? Over an average. Have a guess how much girls were swiping right over an average?
Fuck, probably like 10% or something.
4.5%.
4%. Yo, see, that's crazy.
And they've got every available option to them, right? So that's a bit of for hypergamy. It's some of these words I hate the jargon words,
Yeah.
especially when coming through the cold approach. It was all this jargon, but really what it came down to is that they're seeking the most valuable man possible. That's where Dr. Professor David Buss would come in, where it would be understanding safety and security,
But the thing is too, I think in the modern world, sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. No, I like this. Yeah, no, it's good.
No, because I like talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's because I'm newly learning it. So I'm like, yo, this is cool.
Yeah.
In the modern world, I think it becomes super competitive because social media.
Yep.
It just changed everything, right? Like you were saying, now regular guys have to compete with like Dan Bilzerian. And then on top of that, women will see like everything out, like men will see all the options out there, women will see all the options out there. And what happens is because men, like as a man, it's really fucking hard to like date these pretty girls.
Ooh.
Right? It's not as easy as like, well, I'm gonna just say the right things and date her. It's like, no, I have to work for fucking 5 years, get really rich just to even talk to her. And then when I talk to her, I have to fucking still like not finesse her, but like still like make her like me. So it's like just to even have access, you have to put in a bunch of work. Whereas like girls, they just, if they're pretty, they just hanging out with all of the guys already.
A few YouTube videos about makeup.
And this is the craziest part where you start seeing a mix. Living in LA, living in Miami, dating girls from these places. I can't tell you how many times the girls I've dated, even my girlfriend now, has a bunch of like fucking artists, athletes in her DMs. Any girl I've dated, there's always some fucking like famous dude in her DMs. One time there was like a basketball player that just signed $100 million contract in a girl's DMs. So it's like super competitive, and I think you're done in the world of social media. As a guy, you're done if you don't figure your shit out.
Great caveat to go into. How important do you think personal branding is? Because you have one of the best personal branding, Instagrams that there is today. I actually use it as an example of what a good Instagram is for my students. You're already in there. This is about a year ago. It's like follow Rene, right? So how important today do you think, not only for like business in girls and life, is personal branding?
Ultimately, your personal brand is your ultimate leverage. When you look at any business, right? Rihanna has Fenty. She's leveraging her personal brand. Look at Kylie Cosmetics, Kylie Jenner leveraging her personal brand. You look at Tesla, they have a zero marketing budget, but guess what? Elon Musk has 100 million followers on Twitter. He's leveraging his personal brand. Your personal brand is the ultimate form of advertising because people connect more with human beings other than brands. People don't care. Like if my brand were to post something, Unlimiter, my supplement company, if we were to make a post, people don't care. It's a company, they don't relate to it. Now, if Rene were to talk about, hey, I'm struggling with staying focused, I need the supplement. People are like, yeah, me too. I need the supplement also. So because of that, your personal brand, when it comes to business, one, it's the ultimate leverage and the ultimate marketing tool for your business and also your life, because people build coaching brands off their personal brand, right? So when it comes to money, personal brand fills that thing in. When it comes to dating, personal brand is super important as well, because ultimately it's like a business card, right? when I've had situations where I'm talking to a girl, they don't seem very interested, so I just leave them alone. I'm like, okay, cool. What's your Instagram? I'll hit you up, whatever, and we'll go our separate ways. The second they see the Instagram, they start fucking like messaging me over and over and over again, 6, 7 times, and I'm like, where was this energy in person? And then
You're like,
the
wait,
ones,
what?
yeah, the ones I did hang out with, all of a sudden they're brand new people. They're so different because they saw the Instagram. They're like, who is this person? It builds intrigue, right?
Mm.
It's almost like an advantage. It's free, so it's dumb not to use social media to your advantage. Because if you don't do it, you're playing at a disadvantage compared to all of these other guys that have social media.
Especially because you are competing against that 1%. So you
Yeah,
really ain't got no option. That's what I say. You ain't got no option.
you have no option. You as a guy, you need a social media or $1 million, whichever. Social media is easier. You go on your phone, you start it up. $1 million is a little bit harder. You gotta pick your poison, right? Ideally, you have both, but
I tell all
pick
my
one.
clients, I'm like, you don't exist if you don't have social media. You literally don't. It's good
Yeah.
because there are some guys that are really under the radar, but when they want to connect with the right people, it's just that it just adds that friction there.
Yeah. And I think just the last piece of that, right? Because we talked about like your love life, your money. I think from a spiritual perspective, from a spiritual aspect, I think social media is beautiful. One of the beautiful things about like life, because one, it connects everyone, but two, it allows you to document everything. When I tell people about my come up story and like I was poor and this and that, people say, oh, no, you weren't. I say, literally go on my Instagram and scroll all the way down. You'll see all of it. And it's like one of the beautiful things about my life. You can scroll in my life, you can scroll down my life and see how valuable I am as a person because you see what I've been able to accomplish. Right. Um, I'm not worth a damn. I'm not valuable as a human being because I'm rich. Right. There's a lot of people that are rich if they win the lottery. I'm not valuable as a human being because I'm like fit or I have abs. I'm valuable as a human being because where I was before, I was a skinny kid that was broke, grew up with a single mother. And despite all of that, I've been able to build this life. And you see the entire change on my social media. So I think that from a spiritual aspect, from like a looking back and being happy with your life aspect, I think that's a great part of having social media, a personal brand.
It kind of is actually beautiful to really like
Yeah.
take that in because your kids, your grandkids will see like what pop was like, you know,
Yeah.
what was he like? What was he get? It's like we're the first generation too to have that.
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be
Mm-hmm.
fucking, a completely different thing. Very interesting because your life, I look at your life and you pretty much without, you've got everything sorted. You're
Yeah.
crushing in every area. For guys that aren't crushing, is there something that you do that you would feel is a little bit different? Was it hanging around the people that were crushing it in every area and you just took on their kind of things like your Ty Lopez's and any other people that you've met after that? Or is it something that you've kind of worked on how you're able to just split your time more effectively? Is it scheduling? Is it just your ability that you want to have everything dialed in your life?
I think, and what I tell everyone in the beginning, the most important thing, and I'm going to use slang terminology, is having that dog in you. I think for me, one of the biggest reasons I'm successful is because I really like just turn this anger that I had for like seeing other people's stuff. Because an issue is, right, men will see other men with pretty girls and they get mad. I see it all the time. I'll post my girlfriend and guys will comment like some bullshit under, will respond, yeah. Or I'll post something about like money, right? Like making money. People will post some shit like this. I'll post a video of me like working out or boxing. People will talk a bunch of shit. Men get angry when they see other men with other stuff. There's like jealousy built into, we're human beings, right? Everyone gets a little bit angry. Everyone gets a little bit jealous. For me, I took that and I didn't direct it towards the person. If I see a dude with a really pretty girl in a Lamborghini, I'm not going to sit there and be like, fuck this guy, because he didn't do anything to me. At the end of the day, all he did was live his life. But for me, that anger came in like, oh, I'm going to show this guy. Like, I think for me, real power came from like, if I know I could take someone's girl, I'm doing it right. So my goal was always like, oh, I'm gonna become bigger than him. I'm gonna become stronger than him. I'm gonna become richer than him. I'm gonna have a prettier girl than him. Like all of these things that really just like put a fire in me. I would see other people and I would hate it because it's like, if they could do that, how come I can't do that? I always felt like I was pretty smart. And it's like, I see this fucking clown doing it. How come I can't do it? So everyone that's watching me, they could be like, Rene's an idiot. He's a dumbass. if I'm a dumbass and I figured it out, like you can definitely figure it out too, you know, like this should be your motivation. It should not piss you off. Or if it does, you should use that as motivation to become better than me.
Channel, like almost channeling the energy in the more constructive way, rather than
Yeah,
just like
100%.
blind reacting to the emotion.
That went away once I became like a little bit more successful, right? I have nothing left to prove, and that went away. You see it with Conor McGregor. He had that dog in him when he did the UFC in the beginning, and then he's a billionaire now. He's like, yeah, he could fight because he loves to fight. It's not going to be the same as when you have that rage or that fire.
I love this story. I'll tell you the story about Dr. Dre. You might not have heard of it, where in just before he dropped the Chronic 2001 in '99, he got sued by Suge Knight, right? And he's worth like 20, 30 million at this stage, right? Got
Yeah.
sued by Suge Knight for some sort of contract thing by Death Row. He also had Eminem on the books. So he was trying to pay for Eminem, right? He loses the case and his bank account goes to zero. No one knows this. He literally, and I'm getting a few details wrong, but he literally flat broke. And from that experience, he launched Eminem. He wrote the Chronic 2001, right? Then from there, which is probably one of the greatest hip hop albums, you know, of that generation. Then bringing on 50 Cent, bringing on all these other acts, and so it's almost like when you go down to the depths of despair, or you go down, you will have that redemption arc because it gives you that fire, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So with that story, what this is quite interesting for especially the guys that I deal with, which might be a bit more of the top entrepreneurs that want to get their social life. They don't have that dog. They don't have that fire. Is there something that you do that really brings you down to that level of like burning it back up again?
That's a really good question.
With me, I'll give you an example. For me, I still have that burning desire because when I hit the ranks of like living in a $25 million mansion, had everything paid for, was traveling around the world, making money. And then I fell off. Like basically, I didn't fall off. We split ways with the company, and then my life went down a little bit. A few things here and there. So I've always had that burning desire, and I still haven't accomplished what I did. You know, I haven't completed where the fans are coming up and they're fucking asking for photos. We had times where the fans would come up and they'd be crying. Like, that's where I'm trying to get back to. Right. So I've still got that, but these other guys, they might not, they might have accomplished a lot of what they did. So how do you put the kindling back on and let it fucking ignite, or if not intensify that burning in them?
I don't know if there's a secret code to getting it back on. Because here's the truth, to be honest, I don't think mine is 100% back on. It's hard, bro. Like I wake up in the morning next to a beautiful woman in my 2-story penthouse. Like you can't really be like, I'm going to go fuck up the day today. Because it's like, you can, and it might work, but it's not the same. There's no longevity in that, right? When you're poor, I wake up, I look around, fuck, is that a cockroach? Let me go work my ass off.
Yep.
If it's not there, and some people I understand it's not there, I think a healthy substitute for that would be building a routine, building good habits. Because what's carried me, I think for the past year, I haven't really had that fire in me the same way I used to have it.
Sure.
And every once in a while, I'll get motivated and I'll say, let's get it back. But it won't necessarily come back all the way. I think the only way to be sustainable realistically, and even if you don't have the fire, is to build a good routine, build good habits. And one good habit I would recommend any guy should be doing this. If they're not, they're wasting their life. They need to be going to the gym. Because going to the gym, it's such a healthy habit to have, because it's really hard. You torture yourself. I still don't like going to the gym. I've been going to the gym for 3, 4, 5, 6 years. I still fucking hate the gym every single time I go, dude. It's like, I dread it every single day, but because it's a habit, right? After you do something for 28 days, it becomes a habit or a routine. And then after like 67 days, it becomes a habit, automatic. If you make going to the gym automatic, it's a good habit to have. You'll get fit, right? And it'll become automatic, but then you could also start building other habits. You build them one at a time. Human beings, we're just like a product of our habits, right? And the only reason I'm successful or still successful, even though I don't have necessarily the same fire, is because I wake up every morning, I go to the gym, I get back inside, I have my lunch, I work, I get everything I need to do done. I have a habit of working. That could be a habit as well. I have a habit of figuring things out. So it's like these habits that I have, they built me as a person. And even the person that isn't fucking, let's say you have a habit of doing 50 cold calls a day for your business, right? Even the person that has no fire in them, if they do fucking 50 cold calls a day and it's a habit, at some point, right? And I think you could probably do it in a month or two, you'll make fucking money. You'll make thousands of dollars just doing 50 cold calls a day if it's really your habit.
Longevity wise, do you actually think that it's more beneficial if that fire goes out and then you develop the correct habits? Because I know a lot of time when I was burning fire, I'd do some bad shit to my health. I'd be staying up all hours of the night. I still do it now, but so do you reckon it's actually good that it does burn out, or you hit some goals and it does burn? Now you have to. It's almost like God testing you to see if this is really what you want. And so when you keep going, you keep those habits up. It's like he's like, oh, okay. It seems like he really does want this.
So I'm happy you said it that way, because I think ultimately that is what it is. It's God testing you to see if you really want it. Naturally, that fire is not going to burn always for everyone. There are some exceptions. When you look at Elon Musk, dude is a maniac. He just wants to like change the world. You see Jeff Bezos, dude is a maniac. But even now, like he just retired from Amazon. He stepped down. His fire is slowly going out. He's like partying on yachts and shit. He bought a super yacht. So even like if Jeff Bezos' fire goes out, right? Richest man in the world for like 3 or 4 years straight. You, a regular guy, yeah, like I was, as much as I would love to be like, you can do it, your fire will never burn out. If we're being realistic, your fire will burn out. But if you build good habits and good routines and you get comfortable being uncomfortable, that's how you fucking win.
We're clipping that for sure. That was good. That was a good one. That's facts. That's straight facts, especially because like I feel like everyone would feel that, even with you're getting into a point where, as you said before, you are hollow because like, when you live that lifestyle, you see the LA, the Miami, it gets hollow, but it gets just also it's soulless, but it's kind of like that passion goes away after a while. You've seen everything, right. You've done it. You want that new stuff, that new stimulus. So going on to a few different things, what are some habits that you do, especially because you're a long-time entrepreneur now, that a young entrepreneur that's coming up in the space, you've been there, done that. What are the things that they want to do? Because most of the guys, I'm like, okay, financial freedom is a must. That's a must. Gym and financial freedom, they're the two things. You can say break out of the matrix. You can say fucking anything you want.
Right.
They're the two things. What are some habits that you've developed that you feel as if they've served you now for a lot of years that, someone, young might not have experienced or might not have kind of stumbled across?
One of the biggest, I think, indicators of success in a person, I look for this whenever I hire people, I look for this in students, is being able to figure shit out on your own. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times, right? Like my little brother, he wanted to learn how to edit videos so he could start making money. Because if you offer these TikTok clips that everyone's posting now, it's a gold mine, right? Yeah. A bunch of money to be made. If I was just starting, I would literally learn how to do that and just offer that service to everyone. So I'm like, normally what I would have done if I saw that, I would literally go on Google. How do I do this? How do I figure this out? Editing software. I download like 6 editing softwares, tinker with them, figure it out. People say, well, I don't do it because I don't know how to do it. No one taught me. And it's like the second, and believe it or not, that's a habit of figuring things out. Whenever, even now to this day, when I install a new software on my e-commerce store or my brand, whenever I work with a new agency, right, and they have their own dashboard, I don't say, oh, how do I do this? I don't go to them and beg them to teach me. I literally go and I fucking figure this shit out. And I think that's one of the most important habits you could have, is figuring shit out, because if you can figure shit out, it will change the way your life goes, because everything that's in your path, you are going to like jump over it once you know how to figure shit out. And in the world of the internet, Google, YouTube, fucking Instagram, you learn everything, bro. Like everything is at your fucking fingertips.
Yeah, especially with Chat GPT coming out too.
Chat GPT, another one. Yep.
Imagine if we had that back in high school. Jesus Christ, every essay I would have passed. Literally. These kids have got it easy, bro. Easy. Not like us. And you came on my radar basically 2018, 2019, I reckon, around that sort of time.
Damn, bro. That's a while ago. I love that.
A while ago. The reason why was when I was first jumping in the YouTube, the TikTok space, right? So I was building my company now. And I was like, all right, now let me scale up TikTok. The reason why I did, because Gary Vaynerchuk, he taught me, just say maybe to the new app. You never know. Like whether it's Be Real, instead of being like, oh, fuck Be Real, just say maybe. Obviously it wasn't, or Clubhouse, just say maybe.
Right.
It might be Clubhouse. Obviously it wasn't, but TikTok, I got it right. Right. And so I'd see Jason Capital on there. And that's where I saw, little videos of you asking
Oh
questions. Like,
yeah.
this guy is sick. So it was you, and then there was another guy called Kristen Fleenor, who was the
Okay.
fitness dude. And they were the two people that I was like, man, these guys are, I don't know, it's just the way that you either asked the questions or you just like kind of presented yourself. I was like, I got to find out who these people are. Right.
Right.
And it took me a while to find out who you were. And then I stumbled across you. I was like, oh, sweet. Coming in a couple of years, years later, which was probably last year, the 90-day challenge that you did
Yeah.
for your company, Unlimited, your product that you're selling. Talk us through that, because it really intrigued me. It really did, because if I think of you, I actually think of challenges. You were the guy that I learned before monk mode, when you would do your 90-day challenges where you wouldn't drink. So whenever everyone says monk mode, I don't think of your Aman Gadzis. I think of you, because
I love that, bro.
the challenges after challenges. So talk us through not only the 90-day challenge, but what challenges mean to you, what these 90-day periods of men's immersion. So we'll do the brand, and then you personally, what you do for yourself in these challenges,
100%.
or these immersion periods.
So for the brand, I, like you said, I have the gift of gab.
Yeah.
The unfortunate part about that is I talk myself into a lot of places that I shouldn't really talk myself into. I talk so much shit that it's like, well, fuck, now I got to go do it. Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it reminds me of, there was actually an Andrew Tate story. It was similar to the reason I did the 9-day challenge. Andrew Tate actually, there was a guy that wanted to become a musician. And you know how Andrew Tate is, like, it's so fucking easy. Just do this. You could do it in a day if you really wanted it. And the guy was like, no, you can't, blah, blah, blah. So Andrew Tate literally recorded fucking like 3 rap songs in a day and then posted them. So it was kind of one of those moments where I would tell all my students, I just had an event, actually. I did a speaking event, right? A bunch of people came over and I was getting fired up. I was like, you guys are like so fucking lazy, because you could do this in 90 days. You could build an e-commerce, $1 million brand in 90 days. And everyone's like, oh, it's easy for you to say, you're rich. Like you can do it now. So I was like, I went home that day and I'm a pretty confident guy, but even I started to question my own bullshit. I was like, am I full of shit? Like, am I just telling these guys like what they want to hear? Have I become one of these guys? And I was like, fuck it, let's do it. So I was like, I'm not gonna drink. I'm not gonna do anything. I'm literally just gonna do this 90-day challenge, power through it. I'm gonna literally fucking prove everyone wrong, and I'll document the entire thing. So now from this point forward, if I tell someone you could build $1 million brand in 90 days, what are they gonna tell me? No, you can't. Yes, you can. I did it without money. I did it without money, without any access to anything. Like, I literally just put my head down and worked. So as far as like the 90-day challenge for the brand, it just goes to show what you can fucking do with 90 days of focus as far as a brand goes. Because $1 million, 90 days, no money.
That was you figuring out shit to a T, which was fantastic.
100%.
That was probably the biggest thing I got, that, as you said before, figuring it out. You tried like 3 different ways, wasn't it? 3 different kind of strategies, and then the third one clicked.
Yeah, I tried Facebook ads. I tried like influencers. I tried affiliates. I did a bunch of stuff that didn't really cost too much money. And then eventually we hit an affiliate, and this person did like $3,000 in sales in one day. And then once you bankroll that into ads, into this, into that, like, it starts going crazy.
That's fantastic, because that is sort of like a segue into, for your life, that you've done a lot of these challenges. So what do you gain from it? What's the biggest thing that you take away from it? Because I know that my mentor, Owen, a lot of the time would do these immersion periods. He'd do 1 month on, 1 month off, 1 month on, 1 month off. And so I've seen that ever since 2014, 2013, and some of these big things. And then even I've had conversations with Ty about this too, periods of immersion, periods of, partying and stuff like that. So I guess there's no question to it. I'm very interested in your philosophies on that.
When it comes to immersion and really just putting your head down, that's when you really like test yourself, because it's not easy to do 90 days of work. The fact that you can make $1 million, like the fact the only thing separating you from $1 million is 90 days is fucking ludicrous, right? The only issue is people aren't willing to put in that 90 days. There's always going to be some sort of distraction. And the deeper you get into the 90 days, the bigger those distractions get. So if someone, it's easy to celebrate when you fucking, let's say you work hard for a month and you make 10 grand. It gets real easy to celebrate. The distractions are bigger and bigger. The distractions get bigger and bigger the more successful you get and the more success you find. So because of that, the motivation to quit the 90-day challenge is higher and higher. Because let's say you're doing a 90-day challenge, you're starting off, right? First week, you don't really see much progress. You're like, cool, I'm going to keep going until I see progress. Second week, a little bit of progress, but you're like, cool, let's see how far I can take it. After a month, you make fucking $10,000 because you've been grinding. Someone that's never made money and you make 10 grand, you're like, this is it. I'm good. Let's go to the club. Let's buy a table. And at that point, all your momentum is gone, right? But when you have $10,000, now things are more accessible. You can take girls on dates. This down payment for this car looks real appealing. Like, oh, you can go out, you can travel now, right? But let's say you don't, and you do month 2. And month 2, you make 30 grand. So now you made 40 grand in 2 months. That motivation is even higher because you have 40 grand. Let's say you have fucking 40 grand and you want to take this fucking Instagram model on a date. Like, oh, wow, the appeal here is way more. This is super tempting to do it now, right? But let's say she wants to go to an expensive restaurant. She wants you to take her on an expensive trip to fucking Greece. That's going to cost you your 40 grand. So like the motivation, the distractions are bigger, the deeper you get into the immersion. Once you make it to the end, that's when you're like, all right, cool, let's fucking celebrate.
Because that's almost like what I find with the 75 hard guys. They start to fight, like, and the guys and girls that do that, they start to see some results. Day 45, they're killing it. They're getting the muscle. Shit, another 30 days of that, and that's where it gets tempting of just like bounce it out.
And what it is, like, people love a cop out, right? People love to say, well, I made it 45 days. I made it 2 months, but it's all or nothing. Like, you don't, and almost is not a win, right? I almost got that girl's number. I almost took that girl on a date. She almost paid attention to me.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not, what does that do for you? It doesn't do anything.
Yeah, that's not the result you wanted.
I almost made $1 million. If the Lakers would have won yesterday, I would have won $1 million. I almost made it. You didn't. At the end of the day, you didn't. And you have to look at objective reality.
That's very true. That's interesting that you say that, because I used to be trying to become a professional golfer back in the day. I played golf all my life, and it didn't matter what condition it was. All it mattered was that number. Right. That's it. The score that you made. Didn't matter if you fucking lipped that hole out, or if you didn't fucking have that guy yell in your backswing or this or that. Right. It was all about the number. So I guess I've always had that, but that's really interesting you put it like that, because people do they love what they could have had, not what they do
actually have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild to think.
When people say, I almost beat you, good, you didn't though. That's my response. You didn't though.
Holy shit, they're more interested in that. Holy crap, right? I love fucking learning little bits about fucking human beings, eh? We're so intricate. We're so dynamic.
We're interesting, man. Mm-hmm.
I mean, when it comes down to the next question that I think I want to just really hear you get into. Number one was in another podcast, which was interesting, which would go a bit more of the social dynamics, which relates to sales, which relates to everything. You said on another podcast, hearing girls smile on the phone, a girl can tell when you're smiling on the phone.
Damn, bro, you went in. You dug really, really fucking deep.
Yeah, subcommunication. So, because when I'm looking at the videos, I'm looking at everything, I'm understanding like, okay, what does this guy know that like relates with what I know, kind of thing. And it seems like subcommunication and learning verbals and understanding the kind of nuances of that, you seem to have down to a pat, which I would probably say is to do with sales, correct? You're just learning the pitch, the tonality, you're learning how to be able to do that, or is that something that's just always come natural to you?
I think people naturally have EQ and IQ.
Yep.
They'll naturally have EQ and IQ. And the issue with learning, you can learn to be a good salesperson. Unfortunately, you can't it's difficult to raise your emotional intelligence, right? And being able to pick up on subtle things. Women are naturally better than men at like these subtle things. Oh yeah. Right. Men are a little more clueless, but here's a good example of this, right? I know a girl, and she used to date one of the smartest guys in the world. I think he had like one of the highest IQs. He had an IQ of like 200 or something. Crazy high IQ.
Yeah.
But because of that, right? Because usually they don't match each other. He had a really low EQ. He was really bad at like getting emotional cues.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, when they would go on dates, and he's a smart guy, so he understands this, right?
Yeah.
When they would go on dates, he would ask her, like, are you enjoying yourself from 1 to 10? How much are you enjoying yourself from 1 to 10? Because that's how he would understand if she was enjoying herself, right? Normally, typically,
because
if
you
you're a
couldn't
guy,
read it. Yeah.
because you couldn't read it. If you take a girl on a date, she's laughing, she's smiling, you can tell she's having fun.
Yeah, 100%.
This guy, because he had such a low EQ, but luckily he was aware of it, he would ask, from a scale of 1 to 10, do you want to leave? From a scale of 1 to 10, are you enjoying yourself? Like, he would do that to get a gauge on her.
Yeah.
So people naturally have higher and lower IQ, EQ.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was blessed. In one place where I say I'm lucky is I naturally have a high EQ.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to like tonality and understanding the context and what people mean, I naturally get that. I think for people, there's stuff like tonality. There's stuff you can do to pick up better on it, and it just takes practice. But it's hard to, that's one of the hardest things with sales, right? Because everyone can tell you, they can put a script in front of you, say this.
Yep.
But like it's not always going to come natural to people.
No, it doesn't go well off the tongue either. It sounds like a fucking script half the time.
100%. So I think when it comes to tonality, the best way to have the best tonality is to say something genuine to you.
Honesty. It's good, real honest and genuine.
Honesty is the best way to have tonality, because if you're honest, then people know you're honest. At least your tonality is going to reflect that you're honest. You know?
I get you on that. Yeah, a lot of the guys will understand that, because it's almost like, I guess if you get in the habit of lying to yourself, then talking to anyone else, you're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to lie.
100%.
You know, you're not going to be congruent. We say, alignment between mind, body, spirit.
I love that, and it boils down to everything, right? When you're talking to people, you're making friends. You're talking to girls. The second you're incongruent, you fucked up already. Because women are a lot better when it comes to emotions than men. They know when men are lying or bullshitting or not telling the truth. And I think one thing that women like is when a guy's just 100% honest himself, because they can sense it, they feel it, and then because of that, like it just reflects.
So I also boil it down to it. They're almost, when a guy's congruent, he's almost okay with the risk of offending the other person too. There's a high risk there.
Oh, that's fire. See, this is why I like talking to you, because like that's actually good. It's true.
Because if you're the people pleaser, you just want everyone to be like normal, like, oh no. We talk about this. The nice guy. I talk about this. The nice guy is not. There's no such thing as a nice guy. I'll tell you the reason why. It's crazy. So if you're constantly a nice guy, because I was, you're not nice. What you are is normal to everybody else, because they don't know you any other way. Right.
Yeah.
So they think that's your personality, where you're just like, no, I'm trying to be extra nice and this and that. Right. And we talk about, you need that polarity. You need to offend or have at least the risk of offending someone else.
Right.
So you have that duality. So people are like, oh, now I see nice risking of offending me, or like that, that savagery, he'll speak his honest truth. Oh, now I see the contrast between the two, where if you just have one, it just doesn't exist. Right.
Yeah. 100%. I think when it comes to people, when it comes to men, you have to handle them in a way that doesn't offend their ego. Any man, you have to handle them. So a good example of this, right? I have guys all the time that will, like, when they meet me, the first thing they do is flex. I don't know if it's because they watch my social media, but they'll meet me and they'll try to impress me by flexing. So they'll say stuff like, yo, I'm talking to 6 girls right now, or bro, I spent like
I spent
$2,000 on a table. Like, they'll tell me these things. I don't ask. This is not part of the conversation.
They just find
the need to blurt it out. And I think the reason they do it is because they see my content and they're looking for approval. So for me, I have 2 options there. I can one, create like friction between us. I could be like, okay, cool, whatever, not be interested in it. And when I do that, these guys then like, oh, Rene's a dick, he's an asshole. Right. Or I can be like, oh, no way, dude, that's sick. Right. Even I don't care if a dude spends if he's talking to 6 girls, good for him. I don't care. But for me to be like, oh, that's dope, bro. Like, are they pretty? Like, to go into it, it feeds his ego. Any person, they're like, yeah, bro, like they're this. And then they instantly associate those feelings of belonging, those good feelings with me. Like, Rene's that, like, a real cool guy. I like him. Right.
Yes.
With women, it doesn't even necessarily what matter what you say, as long as they're having fun.
Yeah.
Like,
fun is the best way.
it's the crazy, because one thing I learned from like all these pickup artist guys, they're trying to tease these girls,
Yep.
and the girls are like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Yeah,
Loser.
yeah,
Weirdo.
yeah.
It's women don't care what you say as long as they're having fun.
Mm.
Women don't care
Well,
what you say. Like
as
one of the
long as
I
it's not
tell
boring. As long
I
as it's
tell
not
all of
boring. Yeah.
as long as it's not boring, as long as they're having fun, as
Yeah.
long as there's like something stimulating happening, they're like, this is so cool. And
Yeah.
that's partly why they like guys with money, because like guys with money are able to do more fun shit.
Yeah.
Right? They are able to like go places and see things and like do new experiences.
Yeah.
So I say it all the time, like to guys, don't be mean. You don't have to be mean to like guys are like, oh, girls don't like nice guys. They like assholes. And it's like, that's not true. They like nice guys, but you like most nice guys are just boring.
Yeah. And they got
If you're
no
a nice
backbone.
guy and you're fun and you're honest, I think like they'll laugh about it, you know?
And even like even the money aspect, I think if you're creative about it, I remember back when I was a brokey and fucking like with the girls that I'd be dating, we'd like sneak into festivals and fucking just like try to do like some stuff, and that's fun to them. That's the memories that they remember. They still message me to this day, being like, "Remember when we did this and that?"
Yeah.
And so half the time, like, yes, with the money for sure, but also sometimes even the broke days, you can't even use that as an excuse, because I've done a fucking bunch of shit where it's like completely
100%.
free. But it's the funnest fucking times that you do. Yeah, I remember I thought about that. I was like, I've got to be creative with what I do, and so what I always did was, well, risk, like any sort of risk would be fun, any risky shit. So we did like the riskiest thing. So I'd be like, oh, what can I do? What can we, we get into trouble and shit, and fucking this and that, but getting in trouble with the girls pretty fun.
100%. And then they laugh about it too.
That was my line. I was like, oh, we're Bonnie and Clyde. And so they'd fucking love that. Going to the next thing, you being in a relationship, your life is fucking set. Pretty much, it looks very set for a lot of these guys. What are the experiences that you've learned over, from your party days to now being in a fully committed relationship with a gorgeous girl? What has that transition been like for you?
Well, one of the biggest transitions is kind of unlearning a lot of the bad habits I had.
Okay.
Because when you're a young guy, you have money and you're partying and stuff, naturally you're gonna build a lot of bad habits. For me, prior to this relationship, I was dating girls, but I was dating girls and telling them like, hey, I'm dating more than you.
Yep.
But you're not allowed to date anyone. It was real trashy, but like I would date girls and be like, I'm allowed to date other girls, but you're just
not,
mine.
yeah.
It was like it was real bad, right? Being in a relationship now, I think it's a lot of unlearning.
Yeah, okay. Rather than learning. Unlearning, okay.
Unlearning and like also learning more. But I think I was unlearning a lot of my bad habits. Because naturally, as guys, we have bad habits. Like us, like a harmless message to a girl is not harmless to like your girlfriend, right? Or prior to this, I had a lot of friends, and when I say friends, I don't think guys. I think if you're a guy, you shouldn't be friends with a girl unless you've like already slept with them. But at that point, they're not really your friends. So when I say like, oh, I had friends, it was just women that like I had slept with already. Yeah, and that's not okay, especially in a relationship. That's not okay. I understand that now, but before that, I was like, why they're friends? And then like they're not really friends, because especially for her, if it's like a girl I've slept with and I'm talking to her consistently, the fear of me sleeping with them is always going to be there, And even though I know that I won't, you have to be cognizant of your partner's feelings.
Right. Yes. I get you. It's like you're thinking more than just yourself for a little bit.
100%. So
I would be like, oh yeah, like it's good to keep that competition anxiety there, and fucking, that's what I would think. But no, I understand where you're coming from for sure. There, in terms of you got to like, it's a changing effect.
I understand. So the competition anxiety, I do understand, because like with my girl, sometimes I'll look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, damn, I used to be really in shape. I'm kind of like gaining weight. And she's like, baby, you look fine. I'm like, no, the fuck, I don't look fine. I need to be sexy because I need girls to want me, because if girls want me, you're not going to leave because like girls want me, So I think as a man, like you never like, in order to, if you want competition anxiety, become a better version, become buffer, just make more money, keep leveling up, because the competition anxiety is always going to be there. If you are leveling up, like it's always going to be there. So by including other women, I think all you do is you create anxiety in the relationship.
Yes. It's not the effect that you want. It's a bit more of a detrimental effect.
Yeah. 100%.
I get you. I get you on that for sure.
Yeah. So
Still, yeah. So you can create the competition anxiety by leveling up. And so she knows that other girls want you, but it's not
because
directly like,
I think beautiful thing about women is they admire the person they're dating. Unless you're a fucking loser and she's dating you because she feels bad for you. Or like, I think actually take it back. I think a lot of women are dating guys and they're not happy with the guys, which is why they fucking leave them and upgrade or change different guys or cheat on these guys. For the most part, if you are a guy that's really doing your shit and everything is in line, right? And you know you're doing your best, women genuinely admire their men. Like, it's a beautiful part about women. They admire the man that they're dating, right? Whereas a guy, naturally guys see a girl like, oh, she's pretty. Even though if they're dating a girl, oh, they look at this girl, oh, she's pretty. Women don't really do that, right? Women are like, they admire their man. Like, their man is everything to them. So if you are a man, you're continuing to upgrade and like do good, she sees that, she's like, fuck. And then she starts to feel like he's too good for me. And then they start to like figure out, like they start to like put out more. They start to do more things for you. They start to cook for you. They start to like, how can I make you happy? They look for ways to like please you more, right?
The power dynamic shifts in relationships. You know, at first it's you going after them, and you sleep with them, and then it's pretty even. But then when you're in a relationship and you're leveling up, then it's like, oh fuck, she feels exactly what you said. He's too good 100%. For me. So it's like they don't really. That's when I feel like girls get into the position that guys have always been in with most of the girls that we talk to. That's the first time they feel that power dynamic shift when you're
100%. And the thing is, like, that power dynamic only exists in like probably 5%. It's only 5% men that have that power dynamic, and the rest is like women typically have that power dynamic.
That's one thing I look for specifically in a relationship is, as you said, that admiration, but on a terms of that she's not going to do things that detriment my respect with people. You know, that's what I look for specifically, because I've had, you know, there have been times where you've been with a girl and it doesn't, you know, she either like, you know, choose you out in front of public or in front of the wrong person. Right. And then when I feel that, because I'm like, yo, it's taken me so long to reach this, like the top of the social hierarchy with the people that I have in my life. And then within a foul swoop, you can just destroy that, or the respect, or like she creates a crack where now guys can take shots at you. Just little kind of like snippets of like, you know, just like a line here or two that, you know, is a bit disrespectful from them. And it comes from that. So I look for a girl specifically like that understands, oh, don't be doing those type of, you know, make the guy look respected in every scenario. Do that at home. You can do that shit at home, but like in front of people. I don't know about you. So what was the characteristics that you were looking for and then got specifically in your girl?
I think for me, ultimately, it was really just like, in the beginning, I was brutally honest, because the way we started dating, it was like me coming from the place of where I was at. I don't lie to women. Like, I think it's sleazy for men to lie to women, because that's why women say all men are liars. I'm not a liar. I'm just honest. If I'm fucking you and I'm fucking another girl, it's like, whatever, it is what it is.
Telling you,
right? If a girl does something I don't like, I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it. Kick rocks, bitch. Get out of my house. But with her, it was actually funny. Like, she was very, like, when we met, she met me at a dinner in Miami like 2 years ago. So we had already known each other. Okay. And I brought like fucking 5 girls to this dinner. Somehow ended up sitting next to her. We ended up like talking, hitting it off. She's European, so she went back to Europe. But she came back to the United States for her visa 2 years later. And she was here in Miami. I was like, hey, I'm going to Costa Rica. If you need a place to stay, just stay in my place. Right. She comes here and we talk. And when I told her, like, you could stay in my place, and she goes, because based off like my Instagram, she sees all of it. She goes, I'm not going to sleep with you. I was like, it's fine. That's not, I really didn't want that. Like, I was just offering my place for her to stay. So she came, she stayed here, and we hit it off because it was coming from a place of like, I was being abstinent because I was going to do ayahuasca. So you're not allowed to have sex before your ayahuasca ceremony. So like, she was here for like 2 days, and we were just hanging out, and like, it was like really, it was good because like she at the time she was like, well, I'm saving myself for marriage. Like, I'm not sleeping with anyone. Like, I'm really trying to save myself for marriage. And my response to that was like, okay, kick rocks, like, goodbye. Like, I'm not going to wait till marriage. Right. Sure. But it was like, the dynamic was just good because we didn't come from a place of like, hey, it's going to be a hookup type thing. It was genuinely like, she was like a friend, And then she came, and then like it was almost like unexpected.
Yeah. I get
But
you.
then like when you're hanging out with a girl and like she's here at my house and she has her own stuff, she has her own platform, she makes her own money. She's not in the matrix, because that was like a non-negotiable for me. I hate when girls are like, prior to her, before I was in a relationship, like I would fly girls in.
Yep.
And I'd be like, I have to go back because my job. And then I'd be like, fucking job. So then like with her, she doesn't have her job. So like the first month we spent the entire month just hanging out. Like
Damn,
she didn't have to go to work. And like when you spend that much time with someone, you really learn them and like you build a beautiful relationship. And on top of that, I look at it as like she hates being called this because I don't think that's the right term, but like, you know how you have these Instagram models and Instagram models have a bad rep, but like she's technically like, that is what she would be
her
considered.
title,
Yeah. But she didn't act like any of the ones that I knew prior. She was very like wholesome.
Yep.
Right. She was like it wasn't like, she wasn't Instagram modelly at all. She had none of those bad characteristics that like when you think Instagram model, you automatically associate it with that.
Yeah. The
she
over validation, the over fucking attention. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. So like she was just really like really cool. And like, it just worked out, man. It was a lot different. It was unexpected, but it was beautiful.
That's fantastic, because I'm sure it's like in your life, a lot of the time when it's like when guys are killing it, they don't even want a relationship. I'm like, you'll be in a relationship very shortly.
Yeah.
It was pretty much when your life's fucking set, everything's good, you're chilling it. Man, I appreciate all your time. I have one final question for you that I ask everyone. It's great to see different reactions and different answers. If there was one thing, Rene, that you could change about the world, what would that one thing be for you?
Man, it's hard to not give an idealistic answer here.
Yeah. We've had a lot of them. Don't worry.
Yeah, because naturally what I would say, because I think a root of a lot of the world's problems is jealousy or insecurity.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
When you think of anything, you can almost like take any problem. A lot of it's like jealousy or insecurity, right? Like people are starving. Why? Because people are jealous because other people have more food. So they decide to take more food, or like they don't want to give food to other people, or people fight because of jealousy or insecurity. So I think an idealistic answer would say like, let's remove jealousy and insecurity. So then everyone can be their best, because ultimately the world has enough to go around for everyone. If everyone really attempts to put in their best and like puts their best foot forward, there's enough to go around for everyone. Everyone can win. But unfortunately, everyone's jealous and insecure, and it stops that. So that's an idealistic answer. Realistically, what I can change is I think what I can change the narrative. And this is something that's possible. I think I could do. I could change the narrative behind like being able to be broke, not making money, be a fucking loser. Because at some point I was a loser. I'm not ashamed to admit it. And like turn your life around in a non-toxic way. Because becoming cool doesn't mean you're going to be a dick to women, or it doesn't mean you're going to be a fucking asshole. It doesn't mean that you're going to be a douchebag. Like you can become successful and still maintain your character. So I think that's what I could become an example for.
Fantastic. That's what a thing to strive towards, being able to help people and level them up. People are resonating with your message. Where can they find you? Where can they learn more about you?
I am Rene Lacad on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, you name it. It's just Rene Lacad, RENE space LACAD. That's my name. You can figure all my stuff out. It's all the same thing.
I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you dropping the knowledge for them. I'm sure a lot of people will. All the links will be in the description. Any final message that you want to bestow upon these people?
No message, man. That's it. I think we got all of it out. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate this conversation, man. I knew, I was like, I know I'm going to resonate with you. I know it's going to be fucking good because I fuck with your vibe a lot. So yeah, man, I already knew. I was like, yeah, we're going to hit it off. I listen to too many podcasts. I listen to how do you responded, this and that. I was like, this would be easy. Sometimes you have people and it just doesn't work. And I was just like, no, this one's going to work.
No, I loved it, bro. This was a good one. You asked really good questions too. I love that you did your homework, because fucking podcast people ask if you could change something about your 18-year-old self. You could do this. What was your story? They ask a bunch of shit. Like you nailed it with all your questions, man.
I appreciate it, man. I did my research,